to welcome you all out tonight to the 7th Annual Ministry and Mental Health Forum. And I just hope you all have a great time and you learned a lot about this topic. And then, thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon. To the facilitators, Minister Curtis and Pamela Robinson, to the panel, and to you as the audience. There is a precursor to this intro. I am a little biased, so I just wanted to let you know ahead of time. It is a privilege and honor that I introduce the mysteries of ceremony for today. Mona Lisa Watson holds a bachelor's degree in business administration from Davenport University and a certificate in diversity management from the University of Houston. And in 2014, she rejoined the Kalamazoo County Health and Human Services to lead their employment and income equity efforts through the Community Action Agency. Previously, she served for 10 years with Ronson Healthcare Group as the health system strategy leader for diversity and inclusion. Mrs. Watson served as a volunteer and advisor with several community agencies and partnerships. She's trained as a quality site examiner through the Michigan Quality Council, a leadership Kalamazoo graduate in 2004, and she was also featured in Who's Who Minorities in Healthcare in Michigan in 2012, and was selected by Business Review as one of Southwest Michigan business leaders under 40. She is passionate about social justice, citizen empowerment, and believes that a community is only as strong as its weakest and most vulnerable citizen. She's a proud member of the Christian Life Center. In her spare time, she enjoys speaking, spending time with her family, her husband, and her toddler daughter, Leah Joy. The biased part is that she is number 5 out of 6 children of mine. Please welcome Mona Lisa Watson.
So on a sidebar, I was kind of glad that I asked my mother to do my introduction, and I gave her something to read because I did not want some weird story popping up. And then that would mess up your perception of me as this business person. So that's it. We're very blessed to have the founders of Emerging Hope here. They are going to be facilitating the panel, and they're also going to be able to tell you the purpose and the forum. So we have Pamela Robinson, who's the director, founder, and CEO of Emerging Hope, and Curtis L. Robinson, who is the co-director. Pamela is a limited licensed clinical social worker. She provides therapy services on a contractual basis. She holds a bachelor's and master's degree in social work from Western Michigan University. Curtis is a certified recovery coach, peer support specialist, and lay counselor. He provides lay counseling on a referral basis. He is an active member of the Recovery Institute of Southwest Michigan. They invest in ongoing training and clinical supervision to provide their clients with support that they need. Emerging Hope Family Strengthening Program strives to model mutuality in their care and concern for individuals and families of under-resourced populations by focusing on their strengths and gifts. They recognize that people are vulnerable, and true communion can only happen when we practice mutual hospitality with one another. The Emerging Hope Family Strengthening Program provides professional, effective leadership and advocacy in integrating ethnically diverse individuals and families to fully participate in society through support. So please welcome to the podium ministers Curtis and Pamela Robinson.
Well, thank you for coming out this afternoon. We hope that you are able to that many of us suffer with in silence. We just thank God that He put it on our hearts to be able to share this huge topic that isn't talked about yet. Sometimes we want to refer to it as. But we want to tell you this today what the purpose is behind holding this forum. Well, I'm going to get a little personal here. I have, and Minister Robinson, his stepdaughter, and my daughter, years ago when she was 3 years old. Her name is Andrea. She had a seizure, a grand mal seizure out of the blue, and it just came out of nowhere. And from that, she was diagnosed, and she was in a coma for almost 24 hours, and actually was considered brain dead. But from that, she came out of the coma, and she was fine until she entered school. And so when she entered school, they found that she was learning a little bit slower than most other children, and was actually tested and put in a specialized setting in a classroom with children that learned as she did, and did well. But in the teenage years, she started really having a lot of behavioral challenges, a lot of emotional challenges, and so I, as a single mom at that time, sought out help. Well, I wasn't afraid to reach out and get the help that I needed for my loved one, knowing that there really was a stigma around it and all, but I still knew that she needed that professional help. So I sought out agencies in our community as well as my church family, which was supportive. And we got the help that she needed, and she was able to graduate from high school, participate in Special Olympics, participate in volunteering here at Kalamazoo County, participate in a lot of community endeavors. Many of you in the audience may even know her, very bubbly. And because of that help that I wasn't afraid to reach out and get, I believe her life was really enriched. So this is a personal passion of mine and my husband, not only from a level that we know it as a family, but we also know it as professionals. And so that is why we're here, and we're passionate about this cause. So, studies have found that mental illness and developmental disorders, according to the World Health Organization report 2001, that this condition accounts for 4 of the top 5 leading causes of disability in people ages 15 to 44 in the Western world. Many barriers prevent people with mental illness from seeking care, such as lack of insurance, stigma, discrimination. However, we here at Emerging Hope, we hope to be able to reduce stigma and discrimination among people that have mental illness and or developmental disabilities by actually getting the word out and making us aware of what is going on, because oftentimes we don't talk about mental illness and or developmental disabilities. Now, the cost of untreated mental illness is staggering, and it has a significant impact on the U.S. economy. A study conducted on the effects of depression in the workplace found that depression costs a loss of about $44 billion each year on the job. Now, there are many barriers that keep people from seeking and obtaining care. Many racial and ethnic minorities live below the poverty line or do not have health insurance. Nearly 1 in 4 African Americans is uninsured, and few mental health care providers are minorities, which oftentimes, as African Americans, we find that it's hard to trust those that may not be from the same culture as we are. So, in terms, we may not seek the help. Also, in addition, some cultural and family biases are out there, and they say that certain cultures do not seek mental health treatment because there's a stigma centered around it. Now, the enormous burden of mental illness and developmental disabilities looms high within our public health system, and it has to be stopped. So we here at Emerging Hope, we support the implementation of lasting policy change by convening with groups of mental health professionals, from consumers, clergy, advocacy groups, top government officials, and collaborating with them in effort to change the stigma and reduce the need for mental health services. Do we think that's possible? It's a huge task, but I think with God, all things are possible. So by educating the public about mental illness and developmental disabilities, we hope that the barriers will begin to decline. So that is the public purpose of why we're here, the secular purpose for why we're here. My husband, Minister Robinson, is going to share the spiritual perspective of why we're here today. Minister Robinson.
Thank you, Minister. First of all, I want to say thank you for those of you who felt it necessary to retrieve some information that might help you in your struggles with life and certain situations, or would help you if you are a caregiver of someone that's struggling with mental illness and mental health issues. So we're glad to be a part of this, and it's important today. There's a story in the Bible that's found in 2 Samuel chapter 19. And in that chapter, David is the king. And his greatest friend, one of his buddies, was a man by the name of Jonathan. Now, Jonathan was the son of a wicked king by the name of King Saul. And as a result, King Saul tried to kill David, who was the king, after he died. The problem with this is the fact that God had anointed David when he was 16 years old. He was just a shepherd boy tending his father's flocks. And so God anointed him. But it took him 15 years for God to prepare this man to be king with a crown and a scepter in his hand. And so, as a result of kindness, he promised King Saul that he would not destroy his generation. Because King Saul was afraid that David was going to come in and wipe everything out, which he had the power to do. And so what happened was that as he was ready to pay his debt, by now there was generations that had came into King Saul's home and his son Jonathan. So what happened, Jonathan had a son, and his son was named Mephibosheth. It's Mephibosheth. Can anybody say Mephibosheth? All right, great. Give yourself a hand. So that's a good one. I practiced that 100 times to get that right, because I didn't want to say something that I figured like, well, everybody else knows. Well, anyway, so now Mephibosheth was a child that was born lame. He had like club feet. And so David finally found him. He had sent out all sorts of messages. He had private investigators looking for this guy so that he could fulfill his promise to his grandfather. And so what happened was that this guy with the club feet, he felt the shame of his condition. He felt shame of the fact that he was not like everybody else. And so today we're going to speak to that condition. We want to put a voice to disabilities and through developmental disabilities. And once I heard the statement once said that I'm disabled, but I'm not a disability. And that's what we speak today. We want to speak to this thing that generally is kind of shrugged under the carpet. I found just through my observations is that in each family, there is somebody that have a mental disability. In each family, you'll find an alcoholic, an addict. You'll find single parents that raise their children without a voice. And so today, Emerging Hope would like to put a voice to the cries of you or your loved ones that have these conditions. And these panelists that sits before you today would like to speak to those conditions without a doubt. So we want to thank you for being here, and that's kind of the spiritual side of what we're trying to do in Emerging Hope.
My husband and I are also have a Christian counseling service, Robinson and Robinson Christian Counseling, and located at 625 Harrison Street. If you have someone that would need a Christian counselor, we would be more than happy to embrace them. We take all types of insurance, and we take sliding scale fee as well as self-pay. And if people aren't able to pay, we will accommodate that as well.
Following your program, you will now see that we have 2 My Story Journeys. The first is from Miss Brandy Bonner. The second will be from Mr. Eddie Willis. But prior to that, I am going to go ahead and introduce our wonderful panel. The first I will be introducing is Dr. Cheryl Cotton. Cheryl, if you could wave your hand to the audience. Dr. Cotton, Philo Award winner in community media as TV producer, editor and host of the Emmanuel Kingdom News, a weekly telecast. She's a minister at Emmanuel Covenant Church International in Battle Creek. Minister Cotton holds a doctorate in religious and Christian education and a Master of Theology from Lighthouse Christian College and Seminary. She is a graduate of Worsham College of Mortuary Science and is a licensed funeral director and embalmer, meaning that she can't help you while you live in, she can help you when you die. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in telecommunications from Alabama A&M University. Dr. Cheryl is currently training in preparation to also become licensed and ordained. Did you do it in March 2015. Dr. Cotton's concentration is to empower and awaken the children of God to their individual God-ordained destiny. That's Dr. Cotton. Next we have on our panel Pastor Carl Wallace. If you can wave your hand, Pastor Wallace. Pastor Wallace was born and raised in Kalamazoo, Michigan, the younger of 2 children of KZ and Doris Wallace. Pastor Wallace attended Kalamazoo Public Schools and is a graduate of Lloyd Norris High. He furthered his education at Kalamazoo Valley Community College. Pastor Wallace has worked at Allnex Industries for 28 years as a chemical operator. He also served on several boards in the city, including the Kalamazoo Deacons Conference, the Northside Ministerial Alliance, and Kalamazoo Career Academy. In the fall of 2012, Pastor Wallace was directed by God to start a new church plant here in the city called Visions of Victory Church of God. This is a rapidly growing apostolistic church with a heart and passion for reaching the lost, sharing the love of Christ, and changing lives. Pastor Wallace is currently writing a book entitled Fighting the Real Enemy. Scheduled release date is January 2015. 2015 is going to be a good year for our panelists. Pastor Wallace has been married to his childhood sweetheart, Demita Joe, for 27 years. They have 2 sons. I'm almost there, 4. I'm almost there. They have 2 sons, Elliot Justin, who is currently pursuing a career in mortuary science, and Trevor Alexander, who is scheduled to graduate from Western Michigan University in the spring of 2015 with a degree in advertising and marketing. They also have a wonderful 2-year-old grandson, Braxton Kai. Next on the panel, we have Pastor Barrett Lee. Pastor Lee's bio. J. Barrett Lee is the pastor of North Presbyterian Church in Kalamazoo, a congregation of the Presbyterian Church USA that specializes in doing ministry with mentally ill people. He is also a member of the fraternity of St. Gregory's Abbey, a Benedictine monastery in Three Rivers. Thank you, Pastor Lee. In his spare time, he likes to hang out with his wife and kids, watch science fiction and stand-up comedy, and play his guitar and synthesizer. Pastor Lee. We have Evangelist Dorlis Elaine Coleman Honor, minister in training from Galilee Baptist Church. Oh, how, and this is her bio, I'm gonna read it verbatim. Oh, how I love Jesus. That is what's important to know about me. I am humbled by God's grace in my life that He has sustained me for such a time as this. No accomplishments matter. No schooling matters. None of those things move me because nothing is as great as the grace of God that has kept me so I wouldn't let go. Even when I wanted to let go, God held me close. So as the song goes, I am here today because God kept me. I'm alive today only because of His grace. So again, when asked, who are you, Evangelist Honor? All I can say is, I'm someone who is so loved by Jesus, all I can do is love Him back. Oh, how I love Jesus. And last but definitely not least on the panel, we have Commissioner Stephanie Moore. First elected in 2007 to the Kalamazoo City Commission, Commissioner Stephanie Moore is now serving her 4th term. Known as the Commish and dubbed the People's Commissioner, Moore won the October 2014 primary election, earning the Democratic Party nomination for the Kalamazoo County Commission, District 1. Commissioner Moore is a lifelong resident of Kalamazoo, graduate of Kalamazoo Public Schools, continuing education for young families, and Kalamazoo Valley Community College. Commissioner Moore is a proud recipient of the YMCA Black Achievers Award, the Martin Luther King Jr. Keeper of the Dream Award by Borges and Bronson, and the Sis Stars Award for Public Service and Social Justice Leadership presented by the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation in Black Women's Roundtable. She is also an active member of Mount Zion Baptist Church and the Northside Ministerial Alliance. A single parent, 3 of Moore's children are Kalamazoo Public Schools graduates, earning the Kalamazoo Promise, and her 4th youngest child is a 4th grader at Woodward School for Technology and Research. Commissioner Moore. So now that they have been introduced, we will have My Story Journey by Ms. Brandy Bonner and followed by Mr. Eddie Willis Jr. And then there will be a musical time for reflection, and after that I will come back to the podium.
When I was about 3 years old, I was molested, and it didn't really, I knew something was wrong at that age, but it didn't affect me until I got older and realized how bad it was. But I remember as a child just wondering like why I have to always compare myself to other girls when I see them, or say if I looked like her, maybe I wouldn't have been molested, or if I was special enough, that wouldn't have happened to me. And it just made me feel like something was really wrong with me, like God loved other girls more than He loved me because He allowed that to happen. And it made me really depressed. And I almost encountered the same situation again when I was about 12 years old. And I was afraid to tell my parents because, who wants to tell their dad that something like that happens to them? I was afraid my dad was going to do something. I was afraid my mother was going to do something, and they were good friends with the person who did it. So I just kept it to myself. And that was at that time, I thought I was doing something right, but in fact, I was doing something wrong, because when you keep stuff like that in, you hold it in, it only grows. And my depression grew, so by the time I was 18, I was thinking of ways to kill myself. Every day I woke up, I was like, how am I gonna die? What am I gonna do? I started sleeping with knives. My mother can attest to it. Like, she would have to come in my room, look in my bed, like, where are the knives? Or should I take all the knives away? Because I would have them around and I would cut. And it's amazing that I don't have any scars or anything, because I would just cut at night. And I had no peace. I couldn't go to sleep. And I still didn't say anything. My mother would suggest that I should go to a counselor. But I was stubborn. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell anybody that I don't know what I'm going through. Like, I have a hard time telling people I love what I'm going through. So I kept it to myself, and I ended up in the hospital. I was admitted, and that was one of the scariest situations I've ever been in, because I've never been around anyone who was like me or worse off than I was. And there's like no TV, no nothing, so I'm just like freaking out. And I kind of felt like, okay, maybe I should get myself together. But as soon as I left, it was like nothing happened. I didn't change. I stayed the same, and I started having panic attacks. The ambulance would have to come get me from my community college, because I was just going to full-fledged attacks, and still didn't seek any help, which was not wise. And by the time I moved here in 2011, I was taking pills. And I remember one night that really changed my life it was in the summer. It was around, like, prior to my birthday, so it had to be around like June or July. And I was in my room, and like all the negative thoughts were coming, like, you're not good enough, nobody likes you. God just wants you for your body, you're not special, God doesn't really care about you. And so I was just like, I'm done, I give up. And I just grabbed a bottle of pills. I don't remember what they were. I know they were my mom's. I just grabbed them, and I like chugged the whole bottle. And I was like, it's it, I'm done. But God, because I woke up the next morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, and nothing was wrong with me. I didn't have to go to the hospital. I didn't have to get my stomach pumped. Only thing I felt was hunger. Like, nothing was wrong with me. And I went and told my mom, I was like, yeah, I just tried to overdose, but it didn't work. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should get some help. Okay, Lord, you want me here. I have something to do. I have a purpose. But still didn't go to counseling. And you would think after that, I would just like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. I'm going to get myself better. I was really on a high for that few minutes, and then it was down, and I was back where I started, and I just went downhill. I left my mom's house. Well, yeah, I told my mom, yeah, I'm going to spend the night at a friend's house. Never went back. I was gone for that whole year. I was just lost, basically, out there, knowing that there's a God that can help me, but I wasn't reaching out because I was still angry. And last September, I was struggling really bad. And I was like, I just want to go to sleep. And I don't have to think about anything. I have to try to just feel like I'm just not good enough. I'm tired. So I ended up overdosing again. And this time I felt everything. Like, it was the worst experience of my life. Like, my body was in pain. I was constantly vomiting. My roommate was freaking out. My pastor was there. My pastor's wife was there, and like, she called the ambulance. Like, it was horrible. And I remember I was in a hospital, and I believe my pastor's wife came in and was like, yeah, they just admitted your mom. And I was like, why? He was like, well, her heart rate went up. I'm like, so what does that mean? My mama almost had a heart attack. And that like shook my core because me not wanting to deal with my issues, me not wanting to speak up, me not wanting to go to counseling, I didn't see how that affected my mom or anybody around me. And that opened my eyes and I was like, oh my goodness, this really isn't just about me. Wait a second. I'm like, my mama could have died because I didn't listen to her when she said we need to go get help. And so I like immediately after that, I got into counseling and I was like, Lord, okay, you have to help me because I'm going down a dark path. This is not fun. I see how it's affecting my mother. Like, this is not good. So I started seeking out counseling and it was hard because I didn't want to tell her what I was going through. I didn't want to face my past. I didn't want to even say the guy's name who did it.